Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to fix yet another common problem on the C5 Corvette, because that is all this car seems to have. Okay, I noticed a coolant leak at the passenger side of the car towards the bottom when I was doing an oil change. So what I did is I just followed the trail of liquid back up. So here we have the expansion tank over on the passenger side directly in front of the battery compartment. And what you can see here is all of this has drip marks going to the bottom. So when I followed those up and back, this all looks a little bit damp as well. This nice collection of rocks that I've got. And what I eventually figured out is right here, you got this little sensor plug on the bottom. This is leaking on this expansion tank, but these also very commonly leak here at this T. So you might see a very small hairline crack here as well. Either of those cases, you're going to have to replace this entire tank. This car has a little bit under 90,000 miles on it. These typically fail between 80 and 100,000 miles based on what I've seen in the forums. This is where these commonly crack, is along these ports here. These ones don't look bad. Where I was having the issue was on this bung here. Now these are technically plugged from the factory on this part. This is not used on this car. However, I can see fluid the entire way down that. So I had a leak down in there. Now the thing is, you could probably take this off and repair that using like a silicone or some sort of a sealant. So if you're thinking about just trying to seal that, I mean, you technically could, but I wouldn't, because these are probably going to break shortly after anyhow. So step one is confirming that this is your problem, because if that's not your problem, this is probably not the video for you. But once you've confirmed that's your problem, go ahead and order the replacement. Here's the Dorman part number that I'm using. So here is the new part unboxed. The 3 bolts that we're going to have are these 2 on the top, which you can see here, and then there's 1 hidden down below on the side. Now notice that this is slotted. You don't have to pull it all the way off. You just have to loosen this, and then the entire assembly will slide up. But before you do that, you're going to want to pump out as much of this coolant as you can, because anything that you don't pump out is going to obviously drain out when you remove the hoses. All 3 of these bolts are removed with a 10mm socket.
All right, so I'm just going to be using a socket with an impact gun here, but that said, a ratchet or a wrench is just fine. And honestly, even if you have an impact gun for the top, you'll probably have to switch to a ratchet anyhow for that one that's on the bottom back, because quite honestly, you're not going to have enough clearance there to get an impact gun in there anyhow. But once all 3 of those bolts are loosened, what you can do is start to slide this entire assembly up. And as you can see, there's still a lot of coolant in here, so what we're going to try to do next is remove the coolant hoses from the rest of this body without actually spilling any of the coolant. Now all of these have hose clamps on the end of them. I'm just using this pair of pliers to pinch them together, then slide them off to the side. And all of these coolant hoses fit on like a little barbed fitting, which you can see on the new part. Over time, especially because these things get heat cycled, that hose will start to stick to those barbed fittings. So honestly, the easiest way to remove these is often to grab the hose itself directly over that barbed fitting using those pliers. Give it a couple of twists, and honestly, you're going to feel the second that it lets go of that barb, and it's going to start spinning a lot more freely relative to that fitting. Now that's a lot easier said than done, but keep in mind that not only is there coolant in this reservoir, but those lines that are coming off of it are also going to have coolant in them. So when you disconnect them, don't just let them go unless you want that coolant to spill all over your engine bay, which means we're now ready to try to pull all these coolant hoses off. So prior to doing that, if your reservoir is really filled up to the brim, I suggest you try to remove as much of that fluid as you can prior to disconnecting those. Otherwise, you're just going to have more to clean up.
All right, safety glasses before I blast myself with coolant in the eye. So here's what I'm doing. I can already see this starting to drip. I'm going to pull this off real quick, angle this up, plug the hole with the finger. And we're gonna obviously want a rag to try to catch the excess. And notice these are rubber gloves so that I'm not actually using my finger itself. And when this goes up, we're gonna basically roll this back so that we're not dumping coolant everywhere.
And as you can see here, even if you did crack that rubber hose loose from the fitting earlier, you might still have to give this a whole lot of twisting and pulling to try to get it off, especially if this has never been changed before. These things can get really stubborn and stuck on there.
All right. I'm gonna rotate it like this. Most of the coolant is still contained. You're not really going to drip less than that in any other situation.
So one way or another, you're going to spill some amount of coolant within here, so I would just plan on cleaning this up anyway. And honestly, with that coolant tank out of the way anyhow, this is a great time to scrub that entire area and clean out a bunch of gunk that you would never be able to clean otherwise.
All right, and now for the relatively simple part. Hooking up the new hoses on the new part. And the second you do that, you no longer have to worry about fluid coming out of these hoses. So, got that done. Move these clamps back up.
Now personally, I find it easier to get these hoses on and to get those hose clamps back into place while I can still move this entire coolant tank. So for that reason, I really recommend connecting all of those prior to bolting this thing back in place. But even when I was ready to bolt this thing down, as you can see, it did take a little bit of finagling to try to get this down into the proper position, especially with that one slotted fitting for that bolt that goes underneath. But once this is fully seated and you're confident that you actually got the slot in the right place, you can now go ahead and put those bolts back in. So let's quickly talk about why you should do the top two prior to the bottom one.
So there you go. New part is now seated. This hose clamp on before we miss it. What I suggest is tightening these two on the top prior to doing the one on the side bracket. That way, if this snugs down a little bit more, you don't have this preventing it from moving and then coming loose later.
Another thing that's important to point out for any beginners watching is that I used an impact gun to get these off. I'm not using an impact gun to put them back on. You always want to start by finger tightening bolts to make sure that they're lined up properly. Otherwise, you're going to do what's called cross-threading. Now, feel free to use the impact gun after you do those first couple of rotations by hand, but in the long run, that is a tip that is going to save you a whole lot of heartache.
Now, this one here on the bottom, you don't want to over-tighten that. These are the ones that are really holding it in place. This one is really just preventing it from shifting back and forth and rocking. So snug, but not so tight that you're about to snap the stud that it's on. That would be bad, and that's going to create more issues for you than anything else.
But at this point, we are ready to go ahead and fill up this new coolant tank. Now, if you've had overheating issues with your car, and that is why you're doing this repair, then you might be better off doing a full coolant flush, which means draining it out from the radiator and then flushing the whole system. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this video. But for me, I had already done a fluid flush relatively recently, and I had noticed this leak after doing that flush. So the fluid in here is still pretty new. For that reason, I'm going to go ahead and pour some of the residual fluid from my old coolant tank back into this new one. But for most people, the smart decision is just going to be to add new coolant.
Quick note is that these tanks have baffles in them. So those are basically little dividers that prevent the fluid from sloshing around while you're driving. The problem that creates is that when you go to pour the fluid from the old tank into the new tank, those baffles do the same prevention of allowing the fluid to go out of those ports on the bottom and then into your new tank. So what this means is you're not going to get 100% of the coolant out of that tank and into the new one. And number two is if you have a leak, it means your coolant is probably low anyhow. So you're going to have to plan on adding coolant. Let's go ahead and do that now.
Now that said, some coolants come pre-mixed so they are ready to pour into the car, and other ones are not pre-mixed, so it's like a concentrated one that you have to mix with distilled water. Just make sure that you check the label of your coolant bottle and that you're mixing it in the right ratio if you need to. So for me, I have a rough idea of how much coolant I need to add. I'm going to add roughly half of that in distilled water, and then I'm going to add the coolant mix in after that.
So how much you need to add is going to depend on how much you actually remove. But what we have here is distilled water, and then I have a concentrated coolant as well. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of this. We're going to add a little bit of the coolant, and then it's just going to mix on its own over time. Now the ratio for the coolant that I have is a 50-50 mix. You want to keep rough track. I have about a half gallon of distilled water here. So coming over here, you can see I'm already at the minimum fill line based on that little bit of distilled water that I added. I basically don't need enough coolant that I can justify opening up an entire container. Now I'm only gonna add distilled water because we're adding a relatively small amount and just topping this off. But if you had a more major leak, or if you're doing a full coolant flush, what you would do in that situation is add the 50-50 mix of coolant with distilled water. So while I was adding the water, this last chamber over here was not filling up because of those baffles. Once you get it over a certain level, that's when the baffles start to fill. Looking right here where it says full cold, this little hat at the top, that is your maximum line. You can see I might be a little bit over that. However, that's probably fine. And the reason is the baffles in here prevent this from filling up evenly across the entire thing. So when the car is driving and we're going through corners and this sloshes around, that'll start to level out a little bit, and this level should go down slightly. The other thing is all these coolant lines that we detached, if there's any air trapped in those, that is going to drain out, and then the fluid's going to displace that, bringing this level down. So if you're a little bit over like I am here, don't fret it too much. Drive the car for a week or so, then check the level again. If you're still high after about a week or two of driving, then you can pump some fluid out, but for now, this is probably okay. So now the cap is tight. We're gonna wipe down any of the excess water that we spilled or any of the coolant that you might have missed earlier. But after that, you are good to go. So hopefully this helped you out and saved you some money. I wanna thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna fix this flaming pile of garbage.